Hi, I'm Claudio from Dentec Safety Specialists. I'm here today to explain how we can dismantle and put all the parts back into position for any one of our Comfort Air series respirators, being the 100 silicone, 300 thermoplastic rubber, or the 400 elastomeric rubber. The process is the same. The masks share the same parts and components, with the exception of the 400. It has a slightly different hardness to it. So let's start. I'm going to show you with our silicone half mask. So first thing, let's make sure we detach the filter covers or cartridges, whatever you have on at the time. And this is what I'd recommend we do when we dismantle the respirator. First, let's take off the harness. It's very simple. Put it down in front of you. Now we have the inhalation valves, and these are very simple to remove. So take your thumbs from the outside and push in, and you'll see how they'll pop through the hole. Let them there in front, set them there in front of you. Now we have the exhalation valve. This has got a cap cover to it, which has a tab that you remove very easily. And the exhalation valve assembly, take your thumb from the inside of the mask and push through. Okay, now that we've dismantled it, let's take a couple more parts out of it. I'm going to remove the exhalation valve diaphragm. You'll see it has a stem I'll talk about more in a moment from the exhalation assembly. Now we have the inhalation connectors, and the connectors have a diaphragm that's on the inside of the mask that opens when you breathe in and closes when you breathe out. So we have those two diaphragms that we're going to remove from the stem. Now, all in all, we have 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 parts to our facepiece. Very simple to take apart, and in a moment I'm going to reassemble it for you. One of the things I want to explain right now are some of the telling tales of when it's time to replace the parts. One of the important, of course, parts of the respirator is the facepiece itself, the rubber. It's critical that you have a proper seal. Nothing interferes with the seal. There's no deterioration of the sealing surface in any manner. If there's any crimps, cracks, or breaks in it, please speak with your supervisor or replace the mask immediately. Sometimes if there's overexposure to chemicals, what will happen, you'll see a bubble, a pronounced bubble on the exterior of the shell. That's another indicator that the facepiece itself should be replaced. All the components in our mask can be purchased when the parts do wear out. Alcohol white pads, 12A31 is the part number, and what you do is you take it, and the first thing you'll do before you tear the mask apart is that you wipe the interior side of the facepiece seal. And what that does, it gets the oils and greases from the day's activity off the mask, and then what you do is scrub down the outside of the facepiece again to get other impurities and disinfect the outer part of the shell. If you want to avoid having to strip the mask apart, it's very simple. At the end of the day, in the time it takes to wash your hands, you can disinfect the mask with an alcohol wipe and have it ready and fresh for tomorrow. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to assemble the facepiece, and I like to take this step and process as I find it a little easier. The exhalation valve is this assembly part of it, and there is a flat bottom to it, and there's a channel, and we're going to get that channel to seal in this rubber area. So what we do, one of the easier things that I found to do, is take it with your thumb and forefinger, and you stretch the rubber around the assembly, and then what happens is it'll pop into place. You do want to inspect the inside to make sure, I don't know if you can see that, to make sure that it's sitting, the entire rubber is sealed in the channel. That tells you you've got an effective fit. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the inhalation valve diaphragms and put them back on the stem, and do that when it's outside of the mask because it's easier to do rather than trying to fiddle with it when it's inside. And you'll see from the inhalation connector there are 3 spokes, and at the end of each spoke in a wheel there is a nub here. And on the facepiece where the inhalation hole sits is we have this hole that has 3 notches. And if you remember, we're able to adjust the cartridges in our respirator in 3 different positions. And you'll see the position 1, position that points into the nose, position 2 points to the ear, position 3 that points to the chin. It allows you to manipulate our round cartridge into 3 different positions. So what we do is we take the inhalation connector from the inside, and what we want to do is push it through gently into position, and you want to make sure you line up those spokes with the notches in the mask. Now, to help finish the seal, what you do is you take your nail and you gently push the rubber inside the channel to make sure you got an effective seal there. Okay? Now I'm going to do that same thing with the other side. And as you'll see, once I get the notches lined up, I take my nail, and now that inhalation connector is seated properly and will provide an effective seal. One thing you'll notice that we do not have a gasket on our respirator. We have a cartridge to face piece rubber seal, and we eliminate an extra part. The next thing we're going to put into position is the exhalation valve diaphragm. Now folks, this is a critical component of the mask, of the respirator, that provides your protection. If this is not sitting properly on the assembly seat, it'll allow contaminants to enter into the mask. Check this on a daily basis by removing the cap. You want to make sure it's not torn, ripped, or there has not been any type of erosion from chemical compounds or other debris that is going to prevent the seal. So take the stem, insert it into the hole, and with your thumb and forefinger from the back side, take it and pull it, and you'll hear a snap. And that tells you it's in position. So now I know that I've got that exhalation valve sitting properly. Take the exhalation valve cover cap, and what you do is simply snap it over top, as you see there. And the last thing that we're going to do is mount the harness assembly onto it. And you'll see the harness assembly has two openings. You have a round and square hole. And what we're going to do is we're going to mount the round hole. We're going to push the cone shape connector from the face piece, as you see there, and just take your thumb from behind the mask on the inside and just push it through and hold the plastic housing of the assembly, and you'll see it sitting into position. What you don't want to happen is you don't want it to sit like that. You're not going to get an effective seal. So again, simply push with your thumb from the inside, back side of it, and use your other fingers to get it to wiggle through. Another part that can go on you, that'll go over time, is the elastic strap. It will start to lose its elasticity over time, exposure to paint, chemicals, and so forth. So please keep an eye on that as well. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for your time.